The rain hammered against the glass, and Alina whispered, "He left without a word, and I am the one left broken." Her chest rose sharply, fighting against the ache. Suddenly, the door burst open and Damon stepped in, his dark suit dripping with rain, his eyes burning like cold fire. Alina's heart jolted as Damon grabbed her waist, his hand firm, his touch shattering the silence she had been clinging to. Damon said, "You think you can forget me that easily?" His voice was thunder wrapped in velvet. Alina gasped, her breath trembling, her mind screaming for escape even as her body betrayed her. The room carried the heavy scent of rain-soaked air, the weight of betrayal, and the dangerous intimacy of two souls bound by pain. She whispered, "You broke me once, you don't get to do it again." But Damon's grip only tightened, his jaw set, his silence louder than any confession. The night itself seemed to bend around them, two storms colliding in a space too small to contain their fury and longing. The storm's echoes clung to the walls as Alina stumbled back, clutching her chest where Damon's touch had burned. Damon said, "You think you're free of me?" His words sliced through the air. She whispered, "I was never yours to own." Their voices tangled with the thunder, pain carving deeper into every syllable. Alina's body shook, but her voice grew steadier, her dignity stitched into every fragile breath. Damon's silence pressed harder than his grip ever could, and for a moment she felt suffocated not by his touch, but by the memory of every promise he had broken. Alina's knees nearly buckled, but pride straightened her spine. Damon's eyes softened for a flicker, then turned back to steel. Alina said, "You can't shatter what's already broken." Damon's hand curled into a fist at his side. The storm outside howled like it carried their secrets away, yet the silence between them was heavier. She longed to collapse, to let grief take her, but the sight of Damon's defiance set her soul on fire. In that moment it wasn't just about love. It was about survival. Damon stepped closer, his shadow swallowing her. Alina whispered, "Do you even know what you took from me?" Damon's throat tightened, but no words followed. His silence was not strength, but surrender cloaked in pride. Alina's tears returned, hot and unrelenting, yet she refused to let them break her voice. The storm crashed louder, lightning carving jagged scars across the glass, as two souls faced each other like enemies in love's battlefield. Their breath collided, heat meeting frost, desire tangled with ruin. The clock struck midnight with a sharp chime, echoing in the charged silence. Alina said, "This ends tonight." Damon smirked faintly, though his eyes betrayed no victory, only despair. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Then, let it end in fire." The air was unbreathable, thick with endings disguised as beginnings. Both knew this storm was just the start, that scars once reopened never truly closed. The silence that followed was not peace. It was a promise of war yet to come. The storm gave way to a pale dawn, and Alina sat on the edge of her bed, the silk slip replaced with a robe that clung to her still damp skin. Her heart raced as memories of Damon's grip haunted her ribs. She whispered, "I can't keep breaking like this." The mirror across the room reflected her pain, swollen eyes, and yet beneath it, a fire that refused to die. Her phone buzzed, a message flashing from Maya, her oldest friend. It read, "Stop hiding. Meet me at the cafe. Now." Alina sighed, forcing herself to breathe, forcing her shaking hands to tie her robe tighter. Damon's shadows still lingered in her mind, but she needed an anchor. She needed someone who knew her scars. She muttered, "I'll face him, but not alone." Her reflection didn't answer, but her eyes spoke of resilience, a reminder of the woman who still fought beneath the grief. The cafe smelled of roasted beans and rain-damp earth, a fragile peace after the storm. Alina slid into the booth, opposite Maya, her lifelong friend. Maya said, "You've been hiding too long, Alina." Alina whispered, "I don't know how to stop." Maya's warm hand covered hers, grounding her. Maya's eyes were sharp, never missing the quiver in Alina's voice. "Damon is poison," Maya said. "But you, Alina, you are still fire." Tears threatened to fall, but Alina held them back, clinging to her friend's words as if they were the rope pulling her from drowning. Maya stirred her coffee slowly, her gaze locked on Alina's trembling hands. "You still love him, don't you?" she asked softly. Alina flinched, whispering, "Love doesn't vanish, even when it should." Maya shook her head, her expression fierce. "Love should not chain you, it should free you." Alina's lips parted, but no words came. The cafe noise faded, leaving only the sharp weight of truth. Alina's heart screamed for denial, but her silence betrayed her. For the first time she allowed the ache to be named, and it cut deeper than Damon's grip. The cafe door opened with a jingle, and Alina's stomach dropped. Damon's tall frame filled the doorway, his espresso skin gleaming under the morning sun. He scanned the room until his eyes found hers, and silence swept over her world. Maya muttered, "Of course he came." Damon's lips curved in a dangerous half-smile as he strode forward. Alina's breath caught, her body torn between running and standing her ground. Damon said, "Even in the light, you can't escape me." Alina's heart trembled, but Maya's hand tightened around hers, steadying her as the storm returned in broad daylight. Every eye in the cafe seemed to vanish, leaving only Alina, Maya, and Damon. Damon stood at the table, his shadow swallowing the light. He said, "You can't hide behind friends, Alina." Maya's voice cracked like glass. "She doesn't need to hide. She needs to heal." Damon's jaw clenched, his eyes flickering with something between fury and pain. Alina whispered, "You've haunted me enough." Her voice trembled, but it was hers. Damon leaned closer, his presence suffocating. Yet for the first time, Alina didn't shrink. She lifted her chin, eyes burning with defiance. The cafe air was heavy, silence trembling between them until Maya stood, her copper skin glowing under morning light. She said, "Alina, you owe him nothing." Damon's jaw clenched as he stared down. Alina rose slowly, the tremor in her hands hidden by the fire in her eyes. "I'm not running anymore," she whispered, her voice steady despite the quake in her chest. Damon stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You never stopped wanting me." Alina's heart recoiled, yet her pulse betrayed her. Maya's gaze shifted sharply, catching the contradiction in her friend's trembling breath. The storm outside had passed, but inside the storm lived on, pounding against hearts that could not find rest. Damon's voice cut low, threading both venom and longing. "Maya doesn't know what we had, Alina," he said, his espresso eyes piercing. Maya retorted sharply, "She knows enough to survive without you." Alina's heart twisted as she watched the two strongest forces in her life clash. She whispered, "Stop fighting for me. I'm not a prize." The words cracked in her throat, but her spirit carried them. Damon's stare softened, just for a second, before his pride hardened it again. Maya placed her hand on Alina's shoulder, grounding her. Alina inhaled deeply, realizing her voice was finally louder than her silence. The cafe crowd stirred uneasily, whispers curling in the corners, but Alina's world narrowed to Damon's shadow. She said, "You left me bleeding once. I won't let you do it again." Damon's fists unclenched at her words, his mask faltering. His voice was quieter, fractured. "You think I didn't bleed too?" Maya's eyes widened, sensing a truth hidden beneath his arrogance. The cafe seemed smaller, the distance between love and betrayal razor thin. Alina's tears glistened but did not fall, her defiance burning even through the ache. Damon's silence spoke louder than any plea, and Alina knew this was only the beginning of a war. Damon stepped back, breaking the invisible chain between them. The cafe's hum returned faintly, though Alina's chest still heaved as if she had run miles. Maya whispered, "You don't need him to define your strength." Damon's gaze flickered with conflict, then hardened again. He said, "You can deny me, but you'll never erase me." Alina swallowed the weight of his words, standing straighter. She replied, "I don't need to erase you. I only need to outlive the pain you caused." Her words struck him like glass shattering, and for the first time Damon's eyes dropped, his pride cracking under the force of her voice. The door swung open behind Damon, a gust of cool air carrying the scent of the storm's aftermath. He lingered, his broad shoulders casting one last shadow over Alina. She whispered, This isn't love. This is a battlefield. Damon's lips parted as if to argue, but the words never came. Instead, he turned and walked out, the sound of his footsteps loud against the quiet cafe. Alina exhaled shakily, collapsing into her seat. Maya clasped her hands, whispering, "You did it. You stood." Alina nodded, though her chest still ached. For the first time, she felt not just broken, but alive. The cafe's echo still clung to Alina when her phone buzzed again. She stepped into the street, cool air sharp against her skin. Maya followed close, concern etched across her face. Alina unlocked the message, trembling in her hand. It was from an unknown number, but the name inside the words shattered her. "Damon is not who you think. Meet me tonight. I'll prove it." Her pulse raced as Maya asked, "What is it?" Alina stammered, "It's someone from my past. Someone who should have stayed buried." She felt her knees weaken, the weight of betrayal pressing down before the truth even arrived. Damon was not just danger, he was deception. Night descended heavy and dark as Alina stood outside the old community center where she once played as a child. Her stomach churned, fear coiling in her chest. A shadow stepped forward from the entrance. Her voice cracked. "Andre?" The figure nodded. Andre, the ex-lover who had vanished years ago. His chestnut skin glowed faintly in the flickering light. Andre said, "Damon isn't just a man. He's tied to the ones who ruined your family." Alina's throat closed, her mind screaming. Andre's presence reopened wounds she thought long buried, and the betrayal in Damon's shadow cut sharper than any blade. Alina whispered, "Why now?" Andre's jaw clenched, his voice steady but full of regret. "Because Damon's fortune is built on your father's fall. He destroyed what you lost." Her body trembled, her breath caught in disbelief. The storm she thought ended returned to her veins, louder than thunder. Maya, who had followed at a distance, gasped as truth unraveled before her eyes. Damon's cold grip, his haunting presence, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was history repeating itself. Alina's scream stayed buried in her chest, her silence more violent than sound. The past and present clashed, leaving her standing on broken ground. Alina staggered back, the world spinning. Damon's betrayal was no longer rumor. It was truth sharpened by Andre's voice. She whispered he knew. He knew all along. Andre reached for her arm, but she recoiled, her skin burning where he almost touched. "Don't you dare act like a savior," she spat. "You left me when I needed you most." Andre's face cracked with guilt. "I left because I was forced," he said. Maya rushed forward, pulling Alina into her arms as her body shook violently. Alina's soul screamed louder than her voice, torn between rage and grief. The night deepened, silence heavier than thunder. Alina's tears fell at last, but they burned like fire down her face. Maya whispered fiercely, "You are stronger than the lies they wove around you." Alina lifted her head, eyes blazing even through tears. "If Damon destroyed my father," she said, "then he destroyed me. And I will not forgive." Andre lowered his gaze, shadows swallowing him, regret carved in every line of his face. The wind howled, carrying the weight of truths too cruel to bear. Alina stood taller, her pain transforming into resolve, her voice sharp as a blade against the night. The night air split as Damon appeared at the community center steps, his dark suit cutting through the shadows. His espresso skin gleamed under the neon, his jaw rigid. Alina froze, rage sparking like wildfire in her chest. Damon said, "So this is what you needed? His lies to poison you against me?" His voice thundered, yet cracked at the edges. Andre stepped forward, chestnut skin glowing faintly, eyes sharp. "I don't lie, Damon. You wear the mask your empire built on ashes." Alina's tears burned as she screamed, "Tell me he's wrong. Tell me you didn't destroy my father." The silence that followed was more brutal than any storm, Damon's eyes betraying guilt he couldn't bury. Damon's voice cracked, low but trembling. "Your father was already drowning. I didn't push him, I only took what he lost." Alina's body shook violently, betrayal slicing her open. Maya shouted, her copper-toned face fierce. You admit it then, you built your empire from her ruin. Damon's eyes darkened, torn between pride and shame. He whispered, I did it for us, Alina. For a life we were supposed to share. Alina's scream tore through the night, raw and jagged. There is no us. There never was. Only the chains you wrapped around my life. Her voice cut like a blade, leaving silence drenched in despair. Andre stepped closer, his voice cutting. You took her dignity, Damon, just like your father took ours. Damon's head snapped up, rage flaring. Careful, Andre. You're not innocent. You left her bleeding, and you did it willingly. Alina's eyes darted between them, her body trembling under the weight of their confessions. She shouted, Stop using me as a battlefield. Her tears fell, but her voice grew steadier. Neither of you gets to own me, not anymore. Damon's rage faltered, Andre's guilt deepened, and for the first time both men stood stripped of pride, caught in the blaze of Alina's defiance. The wind howled as if echoing Alina's fury. Damon stepped closer, voice trembling with something near desperation. I ruined everything, but I never stopped loving you. Alina shook her head, her voice slicing through his plea. Love built on blood is no love at all. Damon's chest heaved, his hands trembling at his sides. Maya's voice cut in, strong and unyielding. If you truly loved her, you'd let her breathe. Damon's espresso eyes glistened, his silence louder than his confession. For the first time he seemed small, his power stripped bare by the truth he couldn't undo. The moment cracked like glass shattering, unbearable, yet inevitable. Alina took a step forward, her voice trembling, but unshakable. I will not be chained by your sins. Damon, you destroyed my father, and you will not destroy me. Damon staggered back, his body shaking as if her words struck like blows. Andre lowered his head, guilt swallowing him whole. Maya whispered, This is your freedom, Alina. Don't let it slip. Alina's tears glistened, but her spine straightened, her voice ringing out against the night. This is where love dies, and where I rise. The silence afterward felt like fire burning everything to ash. The night pressed heavy over the city, neon lights flickering across cracked pavement. Alina, age 26, African female, with deep mahogany skin, stood trembling yet unbroken, her braids damp with the memory of storms. Damon, age 32, African male, with espresso skin, loomed a few steps away, his suit clinging with the weight of rain, his eyes torn between defiance and despair. Maya, age 27, African female with copper skin, stood rooted, her braided crown steady like armor, her hand still resting near Alina's shoulder. Andre, age 34, African male with chestnut skin, lingered in shadow, regret etched in the slouch of his posture. Alina whispered, Truth leaves scars deeper than betrayal, but scars don't break me. Damon's jaw tightened, silence crushing his chest. Maya said, You don't own her. Not her body, not her voice, not her fire. Andre's breath caught, guilt thick as smoke. Damon muttered, If I lose her, I lose myself. Alina lifted her chin, voice like steel through her trembling. You already did. The air stilled, every word, a blade slicing the night. The silence cracked as Damon stepped closer, his espresso eyes burning, his fists trembling at his side. Alina held her ground, though her knees shook beneath her robe of strength. You built your empire from ashes that belong to me, she said, her voice trembling but sharp. Damon's chest rose unevenly. I wanted power to protect you, to make us untouchable. Maya's copper-toned face twisted in fury. You can't poison love with greed and call it protection. Andre shifted, shame spilling through his eyes, his voice breaking. We were all pieces of the ruin he left behind. Alina's breath caught, grief and rage colliding like fire and storm. She whispered, I am not a ruin. I am the fire you all feared. Damon's expression cracked, pride splintering under the weight of her truth. The night itself seemed to recoil, the neon lights flickering harder, shadows wrapping tighter around the four souls bound by loss. Alina's spine straightened, her voice ringing with finality. You cannot claim me anymore. The air pulsed as if the storm had returned, though no rain fell. Damon's voice dropped, low and ragged. I bled for what I built, and I bled for you. Alina's chest tightened, anger clashing with ache. You bled by choice, he replied, but you carved wounds into me that never healed. Maya's copper eyes narrowed, her voice sharp as glass. Love doesn't leave scars, chains do. Andre's guilt thickened, his hands twitching like a man reaching for a forgiveness he could never earn. Damon's shoulders sagged for the first time, the fire in his gaze dimming beneath exhaustion. Alina's lips trembled, but her words were steady. Your silence was louder than your love, and your empire screams louder than your heart. Damon's throat worked, but no answer came. The city hummed around them, distant engines echoing like a rhythm of endings. Maya squeezed Alina's arm, grounding her. For a moment, Alina saw Damon not as a monster, but as a man unraveling, yet her resolve only hardened. Damon staggered back, as if Alina's words struck like arrows. His espresso eyes glistened, pride falling away in shards. I loved you beyond reason, he whispered, broken. Alina's breath faltered, but she raised her voice, steady as thunder. Love built on ruins is no love at all. Maya's copper skin glowed under neon, her voice cutting and fierce. If you loved her, you'd set her free. Damon's fists unclenched, trembling at his sides, his power unraveling before their eyes. Andre finally stepped forward, his voice low with regret. It's over, Damon. The truth has already burned us all. The wind surged down the alley, carrying the scent of rain and endings. Alina's braids whipped against her face, her eyes fierce with fire. She whispered, I am not your prisoner, Damon. I am my own. Silence fell heavy, each word sealing the space between them like stone. Damon's jaw quivered, but no answer came. His shadow stretched long, fragile, and defeated. The city's hum fell silent as Damon turned away, his shoulders slumped, his pride shattered. Alina's tears burned but did not fall, her voice steady. This is where love dies, and I rise. Damon paused, his espresso skin glinting faintly under neon, but no words followed. He stepped into the shadows, his figure swallowed by the night. Andre lowered his chestnut-toned gaze, the weight of regret pressing him down. Maya's copper-toned hand clasped Alina's firmly, grounding her in the glow of neon reflections. Alina exhaled sharply, chest trembling, but spine straight as steel. The storm of betrayal had not broken her. It had rebuilt her. She whispered, softer but unyielding, I will not carry your chains. My scars are mine, and mine alone. The neon flickered once more before stabilizing, painting her defiance in crimson and gold. For the first time she felt not like prey, but like a flame unchained, alive against the ruin. The night no longer suffocated, it bowed to her resolve. The night dissolved into a fragile dawn, pale light bleeding across the street still damp with storm's memory. Alina, age 26, African female with deep mahogany skin, walked slowly, her braids heavy with exhaustion yet defiance glowed in her eyes. Maya, age 27, African female with copper skin, stayed close, her hand steady on Alina's shoulder, her presence unyielding. Andre, age 34, African male with chestnut skin, trailed behind, regret coiling like smoke around his every step. Alina whispered, Truth has teeth, but it can't devour me. Maya's voice cut firm, You've carried storms, Alina. Now you carry fire. Andre's throat tightened, his words cracking. I should have stayed, but fear caged me. Alina turned, her gaze sharp. You left me bleeding in silence. Your return doesn't erase that wound. Andre lowered his eyes, his guilt etched deeper in the pale light. Maya's voice steadied the air. Regret is not redemption. Strength is in the woman beside me, not the men who broke her. Alina's chest rose sharply, her voice gaining steel. Then let this dawn know. I stand even against shadows that once owned me. The city stirred awake, but Alina's war still echoed in her chest. She paused near the cafe, its windows glowing faintly, the place where defiance had been born. Maya brushed her arm, voice low. You don't owe the world your scars, but you can show it your fire. Alina's deep mahogany skin shimmered in sunlight, her swollen eyes still fierce. I am not broken glass, she said. I am a mirror that reflects their ruin. Andre leaned against the wall, chestnut skin catching the glow, his voice unsteady. You were always stronger than I deserve. Maya snapped. She doesn't need your confession, Andre. She needs her future. Alina's breath stuttered, but her voice steadied. My future isn't bound to Damon's chains or your regret. It is mine to carve. The cafe's door chimed faintly as a breeze drifted past, carrying the last sense of storm. Maya smiled faintly, fierce pride glinting in her eyes. Then carve it with flame, Alina, not fear. Alina lifted her chin, the weight of survival folding into resilience. Alina stepped inside the cafe, air thick with roasted beans and faint whispers of memory. The wooden table where she once stood defiant still bore the scratches of stormed battles. Maya followed, her copper skin glowing under morning light, her expression soft but guarded. Alina whispered, "This place holds my breaking and my rising." Andre hovered at the door, his chestnut skin bathed in fractured sunlight, unsure if he belonged. Maya's voice cut, "Strength doesn't need reminders, Alina. But if this is your battlefield, let it be one of victory." Alina sat slowly, her silk blouse catching daylight, her braids clinging damply to her shoulders. She pressed trembling fingers to the wood, breathing steady. "Every scar has a map," she murmured, "and mine points forward." Andre finally stepped in, his voice cracking. "I don't want to haunt you anymore." Alina looked up sharply, her voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "Then stop lingering in shadows. I don't belong there anymore." The cafe hushed, silence falling heavier than morning chatter. Alina rose, her chest heaving with both ache and strength. "I once thought survival meant silence," she said, "but silence only kept me chained." Maya's eyes burned, her voice fierce. "Then let your voice shatter every chain." Alina's braids framed her face as she turned toward Andre, her eyes sharp as lightning. "You left me when the world collapsed. Damon chained me when I tried to breathe, but I carried myself here." Andre's chestnut skin flushed with shame, his lips trembling. "I can't undo what's done." Alina shook her head, her deep mahogany skin glowing in sunlight. "You can't, but I can rise in spite of it." Maya stepped closer, her copper skin radiant, her words steady. "And I'll rise with you." The cafe light framed them like fire and dawn entwined. For the first time, Alina's trembling hands steadied. Her voice broke yet soared. "This is no longer their story. It is mine." The cafe door opened again, a gust of light spilling in. But this time Damon did not follow. His absence weighed heavier than his presence ever had. Alina's chest rose sharply, her braids clinging to her shoulders, her defiance firm. Maya clasped her hand, warmth anchoring her against the ruins. Andre lingered in silence, his face lowered in remorse. Alina's voice cut through the morning air, trembling yet unyielding. "Damon's shadow is gone, but I will not live as its prisoner. I survived the storm, and now I write in fire." Maya's skin glowed with fierce pride as she whispered, "Then let the world burn brighter for your rising." Alina exhaled, her tears unshed, her spine straight as dawn. The cafe crowd resumed its hum, yet their world shifted forever. For the first time, Alina felt not haunted, but free. Her voice lingered as both promise and prophecy. "The war ends here, and I walk forward unchained."